Hi, this is Kimberly. Today's video is going to be the final part in the social media carry-ons on for February 16th, 2020. We now know that Gannon's step menace, guilty, chatty, bratty, flighty, cruelty, Stauch was being watched by law enforcement. The public, including myself on this date, was growing impatient for an arrest, in particular Letecia step-martyr, arrestee Gannon Stauch's step monstrosity. And so tensions were running high in comments, and there was plenty of different things going on, both on YouTube, Facebook, Reddit was included, and you'll see. Just stick around and away we go. Much love and peace. I hope y'all enjoy this. Thank you for listening. I got all worked up this past year over the overuse of the word narcissist, but T. Stauch really appears to be textbook. Her unrelenting desire to control the narrative, shame the doubters, throw dirt on the bio parents, play dirty with LEO, law enforcement officers. Not quite sure what that LEO was. The only thing that made sense was law enforcement officers. NPD, narcissistic personality disorder, I think, if not also a sociopath. She has no affinity for the truth, only a deep loyalty to her own self-interest, and while I have never met her, so have no right to criticize or diagnose her, studies now show that NPDs rely on the people they know well, spend time with, and cover up their behavior, and outsiders can spot the pathology much better than friends and family. I keep coming back to the video she released because it is terrifyingly sociopathic, and she doesn't think so. Yes, that interview she did with Spencer just confirmed that she's batshit crazy. Yep. I've said it before on here, but I will reiterate. My mother was a narcissist and behaved a lot like what I'm seeing in T. She couldn't take any criticism, even constructive in nature. She would stop at nothing to hurt my father, which is why I believe T likely did this to hurt Gannon's dad. There were times in my childhood that I was very, very afraid she would hurt me badly or kill me. The video of her grilling him about the carpet struck a nerve. Oh my God, it did me. It goes straight through me and I cannot listen to it anymore. The video of her grilling him about the carpet struck a nerve because my mother would do the same thing to me as a kid. Of course, the worst parts were never on camera. There was no telling what she did to him before and after she was quote-unquote accidentally filming. Yes, I know. I think this is why I have followed this case so closely. Some of them just strike a nerve in me. They all do, but some are different. Anyway, let me finish reading this comment. As a result of my childhood trauma, I'm an expert on spotting narcs and sociopaths, and I just don't throw the term around loosely. This woman is the definition of NPD, which I believe means narcissistic personality disorder, or dysfunction, or perhaps even dumb fuck. All of those words. Even if she didn't hurt him, I still believe it was because of her behavior. She has tried to make the entire thing about her. It's sick and so familiar. Yes, I agree. This whole situation is so heartbreaking. One of my children is around Gannon's age, and my heart goes out to his parents and everyone whose lives he touches. I can't even imagine what everyone is going through, waiting for this precious child to come home. And as a reminder, we are talking about comments that began on February 16th, 2020, before Gannon was found, before piece of shit was arrested, taken off the streets like she needed years and years ago. Does the family attend church together? Yes, they did. Were they there that Sunday? To my knowledge, it was never said if T took the children to church. Al, of course, was out of town on business. He had just left the night before. didn't take her long to lose her shit. Or it may have been the Friday that he left. He had only been gone 2 or 3 days when he got back. And I know she lost her shit on Gannon. It was probably hard all those months he was in town, keeping up her facade, you know. I know her type. Civility had the inability to keep her dumbass self in check. Dumb piece of shit, piece of bitch. Educatee was faulty. Damn step mucker. The comment continues, please don't feel like you have to answer these questions if you are not comfortable doing so. Someone replied, I honestly have only seen Gannon around when I pick my son up from kids' church. I don't know the family personally, but my son knows Gannon personally. Oh my God. What that poor child has gone through as a friend of Gannon's, it's gotta be hard. I wasn't at church that Sunday, so I'm not sure. She replied, thank you for answering. I'm so sorry for everyone. I know this is so difficult. I hope and pray he is found soon. Yes, ma'am, we all did. The next comment begins, I'm in South Denver, and I was in the Springs last week. I almost drove through his neighborhood to get a better idea of where it is located, but I don't want to overstep and be weird or creepy. It's been keeping me up at night a lot. Not only am I close by, I have a son his age. Well, your feelings are very natural. I would have probably done the same thing. It hit me really hard when I saw some pictures of him wearing the same clothes my son has. Aw. There's just so much wilderness in this area. If they're certain he's in the area they're searching, that's one thing. If they're not, there are so many places he could be. Someone replied, there really hasn't been much on the local news about it. Denver Metro. Are there caves in the area? Someone asked. Walked across America years ago, including Colorado, but I don't remember local geology. Reply, yes, I have hiked to a cave in the park I mentioned, so I assume they're elsewhere in the area. Someone else replied, yes, quite a few. Also plentiful abandoned mines and shafts, although most within easy public access are sealed off. I keep hoping I look and see an arrest has happened with her. I'm in Broomfield. I wish there were more updates on the local news. Pueblo County is where I am. I followed this case very closely. Unfortunately, no new news yet. If he really did just run away or get lost and was out in the elements, there's no way he's still alive. The weather has been fairly brutal. I am not a local. I live in the state, but not near enough to have heard things. However, I will say that in my view of what the police are doing, they are looking for a body. Their tactics do not make much sense if they are looking for a living person. If there is a body outside and it has 3 feet of snow on top, dogs will have a lot of difficulty smelling it. The first step is to walk through the areas you suspect and poke holes through the snow as deep as possible throughout, and then wait a day or two to bring dogs in. That is what they did. They are looking for smells, not tracks. Yes, I found that poking through the snow with the poles to be very unnerving, and I knew what they were doing. It was clear that Gannon was no longer alive. I live in Colorado Springs. The weather has been brutal the past few weeks. I'm sure it has hindered the search efforts. Aurora here drove down to the Springs yesterday for a sporting event and took a detour through Larkspur. I realize that even though the area has some snow in the last few weeks, it's not an excessive amount. However, it's going to keep snowing for the next few months, and even if it's just a few inches of accumulation each time, if his body is out there, it's entirely possible it won't be found until the snow is gone, / mostly gone, which likely won't happen until late May at the earliest. I had the same thought. These areas are also mostly shady, so there wouldn't be as much melt as there is in the city. One of our favorite day hikes is Castlewood Canyon near Franktown, which isn't too far from where they're searching. It was very snowy there last May, and it's not heavily wooded in most areas. Someone replied, "You're exactly right. With the trees and scrub in the area, not only will that provide shade, making the snow melt slower, but also cover so drone searches will be more difficult." Someone replied, "They have found people in avalanches, especially if they believe they are in the right location. I pray they find him today. They may have already found him and just not letting it out. They have to go through the process, and it could be a few days before we even know that they found him." You are absolutely right, but the difference is with an avalanche, there's generally a much more precise or discreet search area, not to mention gear that will alert search crews to your location/body, e.g. noise-making devices and GPS beacons. In Gannon's case, they likely only have a general idea of where to search if they are going off of cell phone geolocation information, which will make it more difficult to find him in the snow. Certainly not impossible, but definitely more difficult. Someone replied, "They may have a GPS tracker, may have video of the area that they are in. Nothing is impossible with the Lord. Let's have hope that they find him. Everybody is upset about this. Tempers are starting to flare. I think everybody needs to take a deep breath, including myself. After all, we're sitting here on social media, and the law enforcement, FBI, and all the other teams are really doing the work. God bless them." Amen, sister or brother. I'd really like to know what the husband is thinking about everything. Yes, have we heard anything from him? While I'm convinced that T. Stauch is involved in some way, I just want to point out that the doctor's appointment/nurse call isn't really a big deal, in my opinion. I've had times where I've been sick and gone to the doctor, then called to make a follow-up if I was still sick, just to be told they'd call in a different script to the pharmacy for me instead of me going in. Well, hell's bells, my doctor's office will not do that. You gotta come in if you got a question, so they can charge you for a visit. Oh, excuse me. The comment continues. I've also called the doctor and asked them over the phone if they could fill something for me, like nausea medicine. They've done it without an appointment. Well, not mine, as I said. I know a lot of people bring it up, but I've done similar. So I just wanted to point that out. A lot of people around here trying to be fair, or it's Felicia or one of her flying monkeys. Next comment from a very engaging Reddit user. Absolutely sounds plausible to me, especially for a specific complaint. What seems suspicious to me is the text convo arrestee has the next morning. She makes it seem as if he did not go to school because he had a standing doctor appointment, and then, in other reports, she says he stayed home because he did not feel well that morning. Not one of these inconsistencies is enough to incriminate her. But the fact that almost nothing she has reported has she stuck with from go. I'm now speculating that she is getting off on causing Al Stauch and Landon Hyatt as much heartache as possible while trying to cover her fat ass. You know, the story about him being constipated and being embarrassed to go to school reminded me of when I was in junior high school, long time ago, before cell phones, and my best friend didn't come to school for a couple of days. I rang her up when I got home. I went over to see her and asked her what was wrong. I said, "What the fuck's wrong with you?" After a while, she told me she had constipation issues. And I said, "Well, isn't that better than having diarrhea?" And she was faking, I could tell, saying she had irritable bowel syndrome just because she didn't want to take the spelling test and was embarrassed. Her mom still let me come over, and she hung out with her mom doing errands and whatnot. Finally, I said, you know, you need to get over this, either shit or get off the pot. but out of all days he stays home sick when he goes missing. They deviated from the normal schedule, starting with stepmom, so that raises red flags immediately. Also, it is known that constipation issues in children could indicate abuse, which raises more red flags. So, just giving her the biggest benefit of the doubt and assume he ran away. He wasn't running away from his dad, but while under her sole care, which strongly suggests he was running to get away from her. And someone replied, like I said, I don't doubt T is involved, and I agree that stress and abuse can cause GI symptoms. I was just pointing out that the doctor's appointment / call to the nurse in itself isn't a huge red flag. Al's son went missing, but he's managed to cooperate with law enforcement, keep details of the investigation private, stay off social media, and avoid slandering Gannon's mother. None of those things make her guilty of anything, but her erratic, self-centered behavior suggests involvement and/or knowledge of what happened. What had happened was, you can't even try her on it, which of course is why she hasn't been arrested yet. But if the truth is ever revealed, I feel confident that Flea will have been involved in Gannon Stauch's disappearance. Someone else commented, well, I have tried to see it from the other side and most of it does not add up. This is not the time to have fuzzy changing details and timelines. This list is from Letecia's social media, text and interview. Not evidence of a crime, only of lies and aversion around what is more likely a crime than not. Yeah, bitch lies so much she even sleeps diagonal in the bed. If those duck lips are flapping, we need to put some goddamn duct tape over those duck lips. I wonder if they got a diagnosis when she went to the mental place. I know she's diabolical. You know, maybe they can medicate her, give her a diuretic, so she can piss out the truth. But I don't know, that comes with liability, so best not. If you, T. Stauch, guilty, cannot keep your story straight at the time of the disappearance of a child, and if you decide to malign the bio parents while they are searching for that child, you've pretty much surrendered reasonable doubt in the court of public opinion. If that video she released sounds normal to you, please seek help. I am not kidding or being mean. I mean it sincerely and for good reason. That sounds like something I would say. What doesn't add up? She gives an entire timeline and it appears to add up. It's people on this board that say, quote, she said she went to Burger King and now she says she went to Burger King but brought it home. She's so guilty. Seriously? I have yet to find anything about her timeline or what she has said to show she killed her stepson. Yes, she seems as though she likely shouldn't be as vocal, but no matter what she did or does, everyone will find an error in her ways. If she said nothing, then it would be her fault because she's hiding something. It's a double-edged sword on these boards. No one can do anything right. Perhaps Pisa shouldn't have been running around inserting herself in these boards and participating. That's ignorant and crass, and you don't do that in her position. For God's sake. God almighty, son, is piece of shit been running around inserting herself in the social media realms? The video of Gannon crying because he burned the carpet, I honestly don't see all the panic people have about it. The only reason people are so up in arms is because he's missing. You can't speak for what people think and feel when they listen to that bullshit that she posted. Are you serious? I'm so pissed at that ignorant comment that what the fuck's wrong with you? This blockhead Redditor commenter continues. As I stated on another board, I have a child around his age and everything is a huge tear fest. My question to you is, why is your child crying all the time? Kids hate being a disappointment. Why would a child feel that they are a disappointment to you, to their parent, unless that's what you tell them? My God. Yeah, you sound like the warm, nurturing type. The commenter continues, they hate doing something wrong, knowing their parents are mad at them. That is what I heard on the tape, not some satanic woman who knows what to a child and then released it for everyone to see. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. You may go crawl back in your hole now. I believe most people on this board despise her and want her to be the enemy. They love hating her. Do I think she seems a bit off? Yes, but her stepson just went missing. The majority of these boards are just hearsay. No one is posting factual sources, sites that they're finding this information. The entire few days that you posted seemed completely normal to me. As a reminder, these commenters are continuing the 1 through, I think, 14 points an original commenter made that was covered in the very last Gannon Stauch video. For every point that you make, I could make the completely opposite point that makes sense as well. It appears everyone seems to feed off the stepmom being crazy and have something to do with his disappearance. Well, she is crazy, and she did have something to do with his disappearance. I think it is fair of you to suggest that I have zero evidence that T. Stauch caused the disappearance of Gannon Stauch, but I find it odd to suggest that her story makes perfect sense. The Burger King visit is just one of the many things that she has altered as the search goes on. And while it is normal for stories to change during investigation of innocent people, the sheer volume of her changes provides a reasonable person to conclude she is most likely at fault here. Like I wrote elsewhere, I think the quote-unquote accidental recording displays outright and implied abuse. I'm glad that so many others are also disturbed by it. To normalize it is scary to me. Not all kids need or should be coddled, but every child should be free of terror in their own home. Exactly. Another reply, but T didn't say she went and picked up Burger King and brought it home. She says that Harley, daughter, went and picked up the Burger King and brought it as takeout to everyone, which means that T no longer, quote, went to Burger King, end quote, as she claims she did in statement number 1. That's a definite change in T's timeline. No mistake. Another person said, nah, you'd have to point in many other cases where people like to jump on parents for not acting how they quote-unquote should, but this woman has repeatedly lied and acted like a fool this entire time and keeps referring to her stepson in the past tense. Someone else said, I think she got pissed and kicked or punched him in the stomach. That's why he stayed home from school, internal bleeding. That's why he walked slow to the car. You can hear him on the video gasping these regular pain sounds, and he says he's bleeding. That's why she was saying he had stomach issue. He died in the truck or was close to it, and she dumped him somewhere. Someone else says, Al kicked her out of the house. Why? Was it only because of Landon, or was there a gut feeling or a fight? Al cried and said, quote, she lied. He didn't go to a friend's house, end quote. The released video is a cell phone video taken by a shady reporter. The neighbor never released the video, nor was he paid for it like T claims. Tips take investigators over an hour from Lorson Ranch. They dig and sift snow and return to Gannon's home several times with dogs. The search is now ended. The bio mom has gone on Good Morning America and states that he goes missing and just disappears and no one knows anything, which is crazy to me. I'm still confused why T hasn't been arrested and what information is being withheld from law enforcement or the public that keeps anyone from being arrested or more information being shared. And in that accidental recording at the very beginning, it sounds like T says Gannon is doomed. You can clearly hear the little girl say, "Why?" Someone replies, "I think she says, quote, I don't know what to do," end quote, or something like that. "Yes, I think I heard that as well," someone replied. "I thought the little girl then asked, 'Why, what happened?'" Is there any possibility that Gannon said, quote, "I'm leaving," and not "I'm bleeding"? What if he did and stepmom lost her shit? The video ends abruptly after Gannon speaks. Maybe in his mind he was gonna go to his mom's because stepmom was evil, made him feel less than dirt and his dad was away. What if that is what he said and the stepmom responded in some irrational way, telling him something along the lines of, quote, "Oh yeah, you're leaving? Let me help you with that," end quote. I don't know. My mind is all over the place. Another reply, "No, it was at the very beginning of her asking him for that ridiculous pinky promise, if he did it on purpose or not." The version with, quote, "I'm bleeding" at the end was doctored. I'm sure of it. Many people grabbed that video before T deleted it, and none had "I'm bleeding" at the end. It wasn't until the next day that Plunder YouTuber suddenly claimed that there was an extra 3 seconds at the end. At the beginning of the video, you see little sister in bed, then T walks through the house to get Gannon. In the doctored version, it abruptly switches back to a shot of little sister's bedding without T walking back through the house. Also, the audio is totally different and the background noise of the TV is gone. Plunder either doctored it herself for views or she got totally suckered by someone who sent it to her. Please remember, at this point, I'm just reading comments from Reddit. I'm going to include Plunder's video so that you can make your judgment for yourself. In the description area of this video will be a link to Plunder's channel and this video. I hear at the end, "I'm bleeding," and it does sound like Gannon. That's my thought. Let me know what yours is in the comments. But honestly, I've not listened to it in a while because it disturbs me. Someone replies, "I never heard the bleeding part." Another person says, "I never heard the bleeding part in the accidental recording." And next on this date, this day was just full of hoopla, but this wasn't released until March 8th, 2020. But allegedly, Letecia Stauch spoke with someone and the phone call was recorded, and the date of the, well, let me just read this. A phone call with Letecia Stauch, February 16th, 2020, before she was arrested. Not sure if this phone call has been released, but it was sent to us by the other person on the phone. We will be releasing this call tonight and discussing it only on Dad with the Phone. So even though this was streamed on March 8th, the phone call allegedly took place on February 16th. It's very interesting, and of course that will be posted in the description of this video, a link to this phone call on Dad with a Phone's channel. And now I myself have to go listen to it because it's been a few months. I really don't remember what was in this phone call. And then these were just a few comments underneath the phone call on YouTube, Dad with a Phone's channel. First commenter recommends go to minute 11 and 51 seconds to get to the actual call. There was just a lot of discussion before the phone call was played. Someone replied, "Why does she want a reward? She's seriously thinking they'd let her collect a reward if she says where the body is, or pay someone to give good info and collect the difference? I have no doubt she's a sociopath 100%. These comments were actually on March 8th, 2020, when Dad with a Phone played this phone call. Another said, "I'm not fully through the entire call, but I hope this chick asked her about the candle incident. I would have pretended to be her friend, maybe even played it like I was the same type of person she was." Another person said, "It's mind-blowing." Oh, excuse me, no, it says, "It blows my mind how she can just casually talk about such a horrific situation. I also notice how she speaks of him in past tense. What a piece of shit liar." And then someone responded at the end, "There's a reason God gave us one mouth and 2 ears." Yes, amen. And the last part we'll be covering is a video that I posted on February 16th. The day, of course, that we are discussing throughout this video, but these were comments that I did finally close the comments, and I reopened them just recently because piece of shit had been arrested in connection with the death of Gannon Stauch, and at this point she had not been. I didn't like, or rather I wasn't comfortable with people arguing and accusing her. Not that I didn't think she wasn't guilty, I did, but it did not seem proper. Anyway, no, I'm not holier than thou, believe me. The first comment says, "To whoever it is responding trying to defend her, it is blatantly obvious she's guilty. We can all see it, and we're not even trained detectives. Does she think that she can outwit the FBI? Maybe you should tell her straight that if she confesses, she may be able to strike a deal and escape the death penalty. If not, then I wouldn't want to be in her shoes when she meets her maker. No jury will ever buy her story, and the absolute stack of evidence a prosecutor will produce against her in court. Her days are numbered. I bet she's sat there clutching her phone, and she's obsessing over what people are saying and thinking, just waiting for that knock on the door with an arrest warrant. It might be hours, days, or weeks, but they will catch her. They always do." And of course, any comments that piece of shit made, whether it be under her own account or a made-up account, if she deleted or hid that account, then I'm pretty damn sure in turn her comments will disappear. So some of these may seem like someone is talking to someone that's not there. That's why. Carry on. "His stepmother had too much time to cover up. Just saying what I feel. But also, if she's innocent, so has the real abductor. So has the real abductor. Who is that?" And someone throwing up hands emoji. "Even that stepmother would not have allowed Gannon to leave the house with a stranger she had never met. She keeps changing her story to counteract the evidence. Now says someone came to the house to pick Gannon up. Yep, and once that cell door slams shut, she'll be silenced forever. Colorado still has the death penalty, and this is a very, very public case. Remember Darlie Retier? Have you seen the cell she's kept in? It's tiny, bare, and miserable. I haven't seen her cell. I have seen her being interviewed a few times, but she wasn't in her cell. If you Google pics of her, she has some photos of her posing in her white jumpsuit trying to be a model. It's quite tragic, really. Oh, I haven't seen that. That sorry piece of shit sitting somewhere watching these people search for him and says nothing, continues to lie. It's absolutely sickening. I hate how she calls him G, like it's forced or something. Sounds so fake. Just saying. Poor baby, justice for Gannon. I agree, total disregard for his humanity. And this is a child, and she doesn't seem to care. Her fakery is doing her zero good. The only hindrance to this investigation is that stepmother. I also believe she is calling in fake tips to waste time and to send these police on a wild goose chase. This woman is next level batshit crazy. Can't argue with that batshit crazy part. This is it. Do you really think the police are so dumb that they would not be able to figure that out? Obstruction of justice is a crime. I doubt she wants any problems like that. The neighbor selling media about this case in a news station running videos they don't have permission to is bad and should be obstruction of justice as well. But I don't see anyone talking about that. Wondering what the connection between the father and the neighbor and news reporter. They quickly released information to discredit the stepmother. I'm starting to believe this has something to do with custody of Gannon and his sister, but the police hopefully will get it all worked out. The who's who in this case. And these people seem to be replying to something, to a comment that is no longer there. It's too late. I already have screenshots of you saying you don't know her. And that's not all I have. Caught ya. Okay. Methinks you doth protest too much, and have inside knowledge. The police will be tracking your postings and your phone, and you will be under surveillance 24/7, like Chris Watts was, until he was arrested. I've seen you commenting on every single vid about Gannon. We all know who you are. Everyone has a cyber footprint, and yours is being followed closely by experts. You have the right to remain silent. You may want to think about that. Nobody can outrun justice. This is totally her. If you look who and what she follows, it's obvious that this is her. But your comment, thumbs up, I see the exact same thing as you. God bless you and thank you. Hashtag Gannon Stauch. Interesting how stepmom states he cut his foot and she bandaged it up. To me, that sounds like she's covering up for any traces of blood found and any of her DNA found near the blood. I think the stepmom is lying. I could be wrong, just my thoughts. Someone replied, I agree. I think she lost her temper and hurt him. She knew she would be in trouble, so she got rid of him. Also, the fact that she added to her story about 5 times from that interview she gave with her back turned in the video she says was an accident. There's no way it was an accident because you can see the volume going up and about 3 times, so she was turning her volume up on her phone. She just didn't show his face as she probably hit him. I don't know, but it's all very suspect to me. I wake up every day and first thing I do is get online to see if Gannon has been found. It's just so awful. We are strangers, so imagine what his parents and family are going through. Someone replied, my thoughts exactly. Yes, you put that right. Just imagine how mom, bio mom, and dad feels. The interview from T, stepmom, I'm not feeling the sadness from her that I feel hearing the parents. That bothers me a great deal. I can't help it, it just does. Another reply, exactly. Any person who's dealt with a liar can instantly see she's full of shit. It's glaringly obvious that she's lying. I almost always reserve judgment. I don't like it when people jump to conclusions. But in this case, I'll judge the shit out of that liar. I'll be loud about it, too. The stepmother has a reason for everything, or an excuse. Gannon sounded really hurt and upset on the video. Someone replied, no, he didn't. If my kids burned my carpet, they would have been in so much trouble. I don't hear that in the video. I hear a kid whining because he doesn't want his dad to come home and whip his butt, which was confirmed by the babysitter. She said T never spanked the kids. She said Al was the one who disciplined the children. Some kids are whiners. Give me a break. Oh my God. Some whine when they are tired. Gannon sounded tired, but hurt? No, I don't think so. Upset? Yes. Oh, okay. You got this all wrong. Most kids would be if they know that tomorrow afternoon when my dad gets home, he's going to punish me. And isn't it interesting that right when Al comes into town, Gannon goes missing? Okay, this person has not paid attention to the story. Maybe people are looking at the wrong person. He certainly immediately accused his wife and got his neighbor and the news to run that story, when both the neighbor and the news knew they were not to run that story about a video. Why were they so fast to deflect attention onto the stepmother or keep it off someone else? Okay, thank you for expressing your opinion. You're certainly entitled. Thank you. Seriously? You can't be buying her bizarre scenarios that have changed over and over again. They're bloody ludicrous. You were brought up in a live a couple of days ago, LOL. People are saying you are that piece of shit devil stepmother. By the looks of your comments, I think they are right. That crossed my mind too. You defending this girl like she is family, or maybe T is using your account? She is. I have proof. Nonsense. He sounded terrified, in despair, and possibly injured. He was not whining, I agree, and that bitch was setting up an alibi and an excuse for hurting him, knowing when his father came home she would be in trouble. This was manipulation and gaslighting of a terrified child. I recognize the tactics my narc mother used on us as kids. Yes, this. Exactly, every word of this. Absolutely. When the devil bee went to talk to Gannon, she was talking to him in a nonchalant way to throw off the fact that she had just injured him, like the way one would talk to their child when throwing a tantrum in the store. I can see the bee saying things like, well, if you hadn't have made me so mad, and then to top it off with, we have to figure this out. We don't want Dad to say you can't go see the Sonic movie. Classic narcissistic parenting. Yeah, and when I heard her say to him, okay, let's figure out what we're gonna sell, the sofa, etc., I recognize psychologically abusive behavior to go along with whatever physical abuse she inflicted upon him. Instead of the kindness and tenderness of a real mother who has compassion on her child, he got this guilt trip manipulation garbage. Even if she did need to sell something or whatever, you don't lay that on your child. So sad. Another response, are you kidding me? You must know the stepmother because this is terrible to defend that evil. And then it ends. Sadly, I don't think this child is alive. There is so much more to the story than what the stepmother is saying. I'm wondering if her daughter is covering up something for her mom. It wouldn't be the first time. Notice how her mother keeps reminding people that her daughter is a child. Children are not in the military. It's almost as if she keeps putting that out there so if the daughter gets in trouble, they will take into consideration she is a child, which she is not. Just a thought. And this is where I'm going to end the video. If you want to read more comments from this day, just head over to the things that I have posted in the comments with links. There's plenty to be found. A couple of more things I wanted to mention. I'm not going over this, but I'm going to include in the description of this video a link to this blog called Gannon Stauch Change of Language, Gannon and G, and it's where they go through and it's a statement analysis. This was posted on February 16th, 2020, the very busy day. One other thing I wanted to mention that does not have anything to do with February 16th, but I just found today, someone posted in the comments of my latest video, there's a gentleman that did a very interesting interview with Jeremy Lindstrom and his wife, and of course that's where Chris Asshat Watts took Bella and Cece on that Sunday to a birthday party. This gentleman interviewed them, and it's pretty good. I'm going to link that in the description too. That's it. I'm tired of running my mouth. I need to go night-night. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Bye, Felicia. Much love and peace. Thank you for listening.
This is the spot that we saw them focusing their search out here today. It is dark now, but just across the street behind me here is a wooded area, and we saw searchers digging in one very specific spot. And neighbors out here tell me they're willing to do whatever they can to help in the search for Gannon. Another sunset marks the end of another day with no sign of Gannon Stauch.
It's a bizarre thing. It really came out of the blue. All of a sudden there's, hundreds of people here and searching the road.
Nick Gable lives next door to the property where investigators set up a command post in southern Douglas County. He says as far as he knows, nobody has searched his property, but he offered to help as soon as he learned why they were here.
I did go over, extended, anything I could possibly do, extended my four-wheeler if they could possibly use it to, cover more ground or anything like that.
He says that kind of generosity is common around here.
If anyone needs tools or something fixed or anything like that, one hand washes the other.
We still don't know specifics on why the search shifted to this area, more than 40 miles from Gannon's home outside Colorado Springs, where he was reportedly last seen nearly 3 weeks ago. The El Paso County Sheriff's Office tells us it's based on tips and leads that they've received. Gable says the terrain out here is rough, especially this time of year.
I hope he's recovered in one way or another, and it's a scary thing.
We know there were more than 100 volunteers out here today helping in the search, and the El Paso County Sheriff's Office just confirming with me tonight they will be back out here tomorrow as well.